When we opened the door, she was on all fours.
When's your due date?
Right now.
And she was screaming.
Is your due date September 11th?
She's still arching, and she was like, my baby, is here.
Just walk me through everything that happened from the time your daughter Kiara went into labor and you go into the hospital.
Her water broke. So we got in the car. I took her because I was going to be in the delivery room with her. So on our way, pains was hitting her. She went from 4 minutes to the car ride 2 minutes apart. So we're timing them. On the phone with my daughter. She was on the phone with the hospital. They was aware that we was on the way. So once we pulled up, I had my blankets on. We passed police and everything. So in a safe zone, was going through lights to get her there as quickly as possible. Pulled up to the emergency room. We saw 2 nurses. Under assumption they are waiting on us. I get out the car, open the door for her, go up to the door. When she realized my vehicle wasn't an ambulance, she told me that space was for ambulance only. So we could hear my daughter in the car, and I said my daughter's in active labor. Her labor is now 2 minutes apart. Her contractions, her water bag already broke. Her water broke. And she continued to direct me to the front of the hospital. She then walked away from me and went back into the building. So I had to get back in my car, drive my daughter to the front, which if you know how that hospital is set up, you don't go in front of a door. It's off on the side. So my daughter can't walk. She has no control of her body at this point. I had to leave her, run into the building, and ask for assistance. I was told that there should be a wheelchair outside with the vending machines. When I advised them that there was no wheelchair out there, one of the ladies got up. She went to the back. She brought a wheelchair out to the side door where they normally would let patients in. And she said, here you go, ma'am. I said, I need assistance with getting her. Are you not going to help me? And she politely said no and closed the door. So that was a security guard that was walking in or already there. I'm not sure. He walked up to me. He said, I got you. I can help you. So we ran out to get my daughter. When we opened the door, she was on all fours. And she was screaming. And I told her, take a breath. Once we got her situated, got her in the chair, he took her in. I parked my vehicle. And once I ran into the vehicle, I see her parked on the side, isolated, alone, in pain, by herself, people behind the desk working as normal, as they didn't hear her. I walked up to them and I was like, what are we doing? She's in active labor. She is about to have that baby. And they said, we need the paperwork. I said, what paperwork? She has it. And I look over there, she literally had the papers in her hand, arched like a cat, screaming. And I grabbed the paperwork. It was like 6 to 8 pieces of paper, disclosure clauses. And I'm like, are you really wanting us to get this? And she's in labor. And that lady looked at me and she said, the quicker you sign, the quicker we can get her in the back. I had her scribble something. I gave them the papers. I said, here's your papers. Once she got the papers, she walked around, and the nurse that was on camera opened the door, and she stood there. And she was looking, and I was like, can I get some help? And she just stood there. And she wasn't even looking at us. She walked back in. She left the door open, and she walked back in the room. So when we pushed her into the room, she's still arching, and she was like, my baby, is here. And I was like, why are we not going to labor and delivery? I walked out of the room, and the nurse that met me at the back door was up at the front. I was talking to the registers, and they was telling her, hey, she's in active labor. That nurse told the registers, we need the paperwork, and she walked off. At this point, I pulled out my camera.
When's your due date?
Right now.
Is your due date September 11th?
What?
How many times have you been pregnant?
3.
This is your 3rd pregnancy? You
Yes.
have 2 babies
It's
at
in
home?
my.
You have 2 babies at home? Who's your doctor?
Lang is her doctor. Y'all treat all your patients like this or just the black ones?
Beverly, this is a personality patient for you. Last name is Jones. She's G3P2. I'm not sure when her due date is.
Her due
I
date is
just
the
said
10th.
it was the 10th.
I think her due date is the 10th.
She had 3 pregnancies, 2 babies at home.
2 contractions or father minutes.
I bet y'all listen next time. When you found out you was delivering at this hospital, your should have changed doctors.
Thank you.
Everybody say how they treat people here.
Thank you.
Ma'am,
Yes.
are you able to call the anesthesiologist?
Someone is coming to take you to labor and delivery.
That's not what I asked.
I cannot know.
Oh, damn. Thank you. They had another young lady at the window. She said she is about to start recording. She said, let her. It is what it is. So I walked back in the room, and this woman was typing. My daughter still screaming in pain. I can feel. And I'm like, are we going? I pulled on the door that goes into the hospital. It was locked. So the door to get her help was locked. The door to exit the building was open. And I was trying to get her to move along. She just kept with her questions. How many pregnancies do you have? She asked her that question maybe 4 times. My daughter answered it 4 times. How many children do you have at home? She just kept going with these generic questions and just dragging it out. And at that point, I'm looking at her, I'm looking at my daughter. And I asked the question, is this how you treat all of your patients or just the black ones? No response. Kept with her questions. And I looked at my child, who was, at this point, she was just weakened. She had no power, no control over her body, her words. She was trembling. And I'm looking at this woman that don't look like us, that had no emotions, no compassion. She wouldn't look at her. She wouldn't help her. My daughter was asking, can you get anesthesia for me? Can you get, and that was nothing. We had a person of power that did not use their power for good or to help, but to take the easy way out and just be easy. It was all about the paperwork. It wasn't about my daughter, her pain, what she was going through, and worst of all, my grandson, who had no voice. He wasn't even considered. They totally ignored everything that was going on in that room until she felt like she was satisfied with the information she got. And then she made the call. And the call was very casual. It wasn't no sense of urgency. I have a young lady. She's here, and just, she got, I don't know how many kids or pregnancies, and we looking at her like, and I started repeating. She has 3 pregnancies, 2 babies at home. Her doctor is, and that's when they came down to get her. 4 minutes later, we had a baby. 4 minutes of leaving that room, getting to the delivery room, he was born.
And this Monday night at
6 minutes.
6 minutes.
6 minutes.
So this was Monday night at 11. You got to the hospital.
We got there at 11:50, and we was not transported to labor and delivery until 12:20, 12:25, 12:29. Yeah.
And then by 12:35, he was here. So
He
when
was actually here. He was crowned. When they got her to the bed, I was in the room with them. When they tried to lift her to get on the bed and put her feet up, they was like, okay, we're gonna help you. Let's get these clothes off you. Let's see where you at. As soon as they pulled eight shorts off, one of the nurses, she just froze. She looked at the other nurse. She looked over, I looked over, and at this point, she grabbed his head that filled her hand. He was not crowning, he was birthing. And she begged my daughter not to move. She said, I need you to not move. And she had her hand in her back, and her hand on his head. And I had my daughter's hands, and I was talking to her, and she said, you got one push, hard as you can. And that's what she did. He came out. Eyes was wide open. When he came, his whole face came out. He was looking at the world. And there was complete silence before she got him to respond and react, and we got a cry.
And talk to me about that too, because you even mentioned he had a bowel movement during that
Yes.
time. Tell me about that and what you all saw even with the sac.
Well, when she had his head, it was a lot of green fluid, and they were saying, okay, her fluids is green, that's not good. And then when he pushed, it just gushed out, and the nurse yelled, baby had a bowel movement. That's how we knew what it was. And once he got out, they, start spraying stuff in his face and wiping his face, cleaning his face and sucking out his mouth. And they was like, okay, we're going to be okay. We're going to be okay. And so they was getting towels, anything they can get, and just kind of pushing it under her, pulling him, wrapping him. And they was talking to her at this point, the nurse who had the baby. She passed the baby off, and she was talking to her, just trying to get her to calm down, ease, and she was just trying to comfort her at that point.
And because of that, does she still have bowel in her, or they had to get it all? Were they able to get it all out, or?
Well, I'm not really sure.
Okay.
What they did, they put a pan under her, and they was pretty much trying to get her to drain, and they didn't want to put any pressure on her stomach. They just allowed her to drain. That was the longest process I ever seen. The doctor came in, they cleaned the baby up, wrapped him up, put him in my hands, and they were still trying to get her where they needed her. Once the doctor got there, he put on gloves. He was looking and making sure she was good and asking her questions about how she felt at the time, any pressure, any pains, and, other than the regular, ordinary that she would feel after a baby. And so they drained her maybe twice. They had a pan under her that they dumped twice and put back before they start emptying out her womb.
And are they, because of everything, are they having to monitor? She has to go back to, both have to go back to get checked, and is everything?
Yes, the baby went back 48 hours.
Okay.
So she set up another doctor's appointment for him for 2 weeks. And she haven't had her post-ops yet. But her doctor have called, the office called, and they set up, and I'm not sure what day that is.
Has the doctor said anything about the treatment and what happened?
Nope.
And nobody has said anything. Hospital hasn't reached out.
Nope.
And I know she has 2 other children. And talk to me about what kicked in and how she knew that she couldn't sit anymore.
So we have in the past, because both of her children was induced. This baby previously was supposed to be induced, but he came on his own. But we have always looked at different birthing techniques, and we also always look at different breeding techniques and how to know where the baby is in the body and position yourself in a way where you can have a smooth delivery that works for you. So she knew that pressure went from her back to her front, and she was like, okay, and so she just started arching up because she knew that he was coming, and she was communicating that with everybody who were listening, and I was the only one listening. So that's why she kept turning around, getting in a fetus situation, because she knew her baby was there. And even when they said, okay, sit up, when the guy came to get her, sit up, and she was like, no, she was still arched. Her body was raised up because she was so uncomfortable. She knew that it didn't feel right. And she would not sit down. And when I saw him, it was by the grace of God that she, as a mother, followed her instincts. Because if she'd have sat on him, we would be having a different conversation, because he wasn't crowning at this point. He was out.
And you talked about her having the motherly instinct just to know and to protect her baby. I want to talk about your motherly instinct because you took out the phone and started recording. So what made you want to do that? What was it that told you I need to record this?
Because these are stories we hear and we read all the time. We know they're happening. But they don't hear us. And when I say us, it happened to everybody. And don't get me wrong, this is not black against white. This is a system issue. That hospital, that's culture. The way they treated us from the time we walked in, that's the norm. That's their norm. And I told my daughter, I was like, this is the norm. They don't care about people here. But I knew I had to pull out my camera because when I speak, me as a black woman, I'm not heard. Because if I get angry, I'm going off. If I ask questions, I'm pushing the issue. I'm not valid. My words mean nothing. They will hear me, but they're not listening to me. So I knew I had to record the incidents that was going on because you cannot argue with facts. And we have to use facts. We have to use video just so our voices can be heard. Because we could have told anybody this story and it would just been our experience from our point of view. But because I had film and I showed the world what we went through, what my daughter went through, what my grandson went through just to get here. It was the video that they believed. It wouldn't have been me. It wouldn't have been her. That's why I recorded.
And even as a mom watching your daughter just go endure that, having that nurse, talk and react the way she did, but then also just seeing your daughter in pain. Like what's going through your mind? What are you feeling?
Helpless. Because I couldn't do anything for her. And we had a person that was a nurse that did nothing for her. I felt powerless. And the only choice we had was to deal with it or try and get her somewhere else. And with the timing that we had, that wasn't even an option. So I had to rethink what I was going to do and how I was going to do it, because the worst thing that could have happened is I got put out of the hospital for being aggressive or being overly protective and being seen as, rude, aggressive, or even a threat to them, and leave her by herself to defend for herself. That's why I videoed it. And I had to put all my feelings and how I wanted to react. That had to go on ice.
Yeah. When you think about that and the fact that, this happens a lot. As you said, you know countless times where this has happened. What message would you like to send to other, and not even just mothers, but just other people, when they go through these experiences about advocating for yourself?
We're all not going to have the ability to film, but as a whole, we have to do something about the medical system, period. This is our medical system. This is the corporate. It was very clear that it wasn't about the patient, it was about the paperwork. It was about them getting a signature and getting paid. Not about the welfare of my daughter, my grandson, or anyone else. I was in the emergency room. And it was paperwork over life. Our medical system needs to change. This is a fight everywhere.
And was this her first time at this hospital?
Yes.
Okay, first time. Okay.
And the
Yeah,
last.
first and last. And you heard about that hospital later on? Started hearing more stuff from other people?
I heard
or?
before.
Okay.
When we was told that we was delivering at the hospital, we got jitters. Because, again, anyone concerns turns to complaints. They are not heard. And they have grown, the reputation, it's just, I don't know, I didn't like it. And I was like, no, we're not delivering there. And it was like, well, we have to, our doctor there, and change your doctor. But because they advocate for him, and they told him their concerns, they felt comfortable because he was their doctor, that it was going to be okay. It wasn't okay.
What would you like to see the hospital do?
They need to get people in there who really care about people. They need to change the way they view others, they pain, because they ignore my daughter's pain. They felt like she was making it up. I saw how they looked at her, and this is not just the woman on camera. This is the woman at the ER, the women behind the glass. They all looked at her like she was overrated. And they pushed her to the side. And there was no urgency to take care of her. And when I saw that, that's the change. They need to treat everybody with a sense of urgency. And whatever that may look like, then they need to fix it. Her paperwork could have been bedside manner. The question they was asking was not life or death questions. Had nothing to do with the life that she was bringing in the world. So, yeah.
And what's next for you all? Have you all thought about anything that's next, of any steps or actions you plan on taking? Not yet. Not yet.
We're just taking it one day at a time. She sits and watches her son, and she would cry because if she moved the wrong way, he would not be here today. So she is dealing with this completely in her own way. So we just enjoying him and just day by day. And just being grateful.
I'm grateful that they're both here and they're both okay. Is there anything I might have missed that you want to add, or anything you want people to know?
You want to talk to that nurse? You want to talk to that nurse? Choosing to do what was easy over what was right?
So we thought about the nurse, and why she considered doing what she did the way she did. And even if we gave her the benefit of the doubt, even if we gave her that benefit of the doubt and she was just following orders, she was in a position where she had a choice to do what was right or do what was easy. And she chose easy. So I try to stay away from social media, but I have no compassion at this point because I was there. And she had none for us. And I just think it was a crime. It was disgusting. And the whole hospital and they medical act, all of it is it's an act of, it's abomination. So.
And they haven't reached out at all.
They haven't reached out.
Okay.
And even when she tried to call and do a formal complaint above to the upper management and supervisors, they just take her name and tell her, okay, that person's not available, and they'll get back with you.
And that's why you put out the video.
And that's why I put out the video, because after 2 days, they never got back with us.